You closed your eyes. You try to meditate. Your anxiety exodes. You breath in. You expect pure peace. Instead, your brain starts screaming. You remember an unpaid bill. You overanalyze a casual conversation. You cringe at a stupid email you sent yesterday. Your chest tightens. Your heart pounds. Your hands sweat. You feel like a fraud in your own living room. Wellness gurus tell you to be mindful. They lie to you. They sell you a toxic illusion. They blame you for failing to simply chill out. Do not blame yourself. For an overthinking mind, absolute silence is a dangerous trap. When you sit still, your brain does not rest. It panics. It aggressively scans for invisible threats in the dark. You are not spiritually broken. You are not failing at self-care. You are just wired differently. You suffer from a highly vigilant nervous system. The entire mindfulness industry is practically gaslighting you right now. Deep breathing will not save your mental state. Forced gratitude will not fix this inner chaos. You need to strictly understand your own neural pathways. Today, we will decode your biological hardware. We will expose the massive myth of modern meditation. I will show you the exact neuroscience behind your distress. We will bypass your primal panic button. You do not need to clear your mind. You do not need a quiet room. You absolutely need a quiet room. You absolutely need aggressive focus. Do you sit perfectly still on a yoga mat? Do you fawn your eyes tightly closed? Do you try to stubbornly count your breaths? Do you expect your hyperactive mind to magically shut down? Suddenly, you vividly remember a painfully awkward joke. You replay a meaningless conversation you had 3 years ago. You construct a completely fake scenario where your manager angrily fires you. You directed an entire mental movie in the dark. In this terrifying movie, everybody secretly despises you. You assume your closest friends quietly mock your lifestyle behind your back. You project your own intense insecurities onto a completely silent room. You are not a gifted psychic. You are definitely not uncovering hidden truths about your social circle. You are just experiencing a massive cognitive distortion. Your brain is literally gaslighting you right now. When you remove all external physical distractions, your prefrontal cortex permanently loses its primary anchor to reality. It panics violently without a task. It desperately scrambles to find an immediate problem to solve. It aggressively magnifies tiny, meaningless social interactions into catastrophic personal failures. You falsely think you are finally achieving pure spiritual clarity. You are entirely wrong. You are merely watching a psychological horror film produced by your own isolated neurons. You desperately believe the absolute silence will heal your chronic social exhaustion. The clinical reality is violently different. The silence actually forces your brain to aggressively attack itself. You cannot find deep peace while staring into a heavily cracked mirror. You do not possess mystical powers to accurately read the minds of your colleagues. You merely suffer from a severely overloaded processing unit. You constantly judge yourself mercilessly every single minute, so you automatically assume the entire universe does exactly the same. Stop blindly trying to sit in quiet meditation. Your incredibly complex psychological framework entirely rejects this unnatural, highly passive state. Your highly evolved mind strictly demands a complex puzzle, not an empty void. You constantly suffer under the heavy weight of the spotlight effect. You falsely believe everybody is closely watching your hidden flaws. They absolutely are not. Do you finally understand this brutal biological betrayal? Does your throat suddenly tighten? Do your hands randomly shake? Do you feel completely paralyzed inside a quiet, empty room? You closed the bedroom door. You sliced the bedroom door. You sit alone on the meditation cushion. The heavy silence violently presses against your sensitive eardrums. You desperately try to find inner peace. Instead, your chest aggressively heaves them. You literally gasp for fresh air. Your social battery is completely dead. Yet your primal nervous system is heavily overcloaking right now. You feel incredibly dizzy. You actively struggle to swallow normally. You fiercely sway through your favorite shirt. You harshly judge your physical reaction. You falsely assume you are mentally broken. Stop. Your physical body is definitely not weak. You are physically experiencing a massive, terrifying somatic overload. Absolute silence is the ultimate explosive fuel for your default mode network. When you completely remove all physical tasks, your complex brain violently revolts. It absolutely detonates a vacuum. It automatically shifts into an aggressive threat scanning mode. Your sympathetic nervous system immediately releases a massive, blinding wave of cortisol. Your hyperactive amygdala desperately screams for a moving target. It cannot comprehend safety. It falsely believes you are in terrible imminent danger. It entirely consumes your precious neural bandwidth just to calculate invisible risks. Your physical freezing is merely a symptom. This extreme physical panic is actually highly logical clinical biology. Your hypervigilant brain is beautifully optimized for primal survival. It strictly refuses to power down in the dark. It actively protects you from invisible psychological predators. You are simply misunderstanding your own brilliant biological machinery. Your heart wildly bets to pump blood for a fight, not to torture you. Do you constantly apologize to yourself for failing at basic daily meditation? You falsely believe your restless, hyperactive mind is a pathetic character flaw. Mainstream society forcefully dissects that pure stillness perfectly equals absolute mental health. Spiritual gurus ruthlessly judge a inability to magically empty your rapidly racing thoughts. They firmly tell you to simply surrender to the universe. This is a massive, incredibly toxic biological lie. Your complex human brain was absolutely not destined to peacefully float in passive, silent emptiness. Modern evolutionary psychology clearly proves this fundamental, undeniable truth. Your highly analytical mind directly evolved to aggressively solve extremely complex survival problems in a highly dangerous world. It desperately requires immense cognitive load and constant data processing to actually function properly. When you forcefully starve your brain of active physical engagement, it violently turns on itself to create fake problems. You do not suffer from a fundamentally broken psyche just because you cannot sit quietly on a trendy yoga mat. You simply suffer because you continuously force a brilliant high-performance cognitive engine to idly run in neutral gear. The modern wellness industry completely ignores your deeply advanced neurological wiring. They mistakenly turbot your intense mental energy as a terrible, shameful disease to cure. Stop forcefully subduing your own primal biological nature. Immediately case this utterly pointless, exhausting psychological war against your own powerful nervous system. Your brain is a highly sophisticated problem-solving weapon. It strictly needs a valid, complex target to aggressively lock onto. It simply cannot accept dangerous passive submission. You must absolutely stop apologizing for having a brain that fiercely refuses to sleep. If you have ever secretly felt overwhelming guilt for simply being unable to peacefully chill, stop right now. You are absolutely not alone in this dark, silent struggle. I fully see your profound hidden exhaustion, and I completely understand your heavy burden. Millions of analytical minds silently suffer exactly like you every single night, fighting their own biology. Do not blame yourself for your intricate neurological design. Subscribe to this channel right now so we can permanently decode your complex psychological matrix together. Go down to the comments and proudly tiber this absolute truth to reclaim your power. My brain is built for relentless, rigorous action. Now, let us deeply examine your ultimate daily coping mechanism. You wake up and you immediately wean are a perfectly fabricated social mask. You forcefully fake a polite, relaxed smile to appease the crowd. You deliberately pretend to comfortably enjoy slow, utterly meaningless small talk. You violently suppress your intense, racing thoughts just to seamlessly blend in with a highly mediocre environment. Clinical neuroscience clearly parallels this uniquely exhausting behavioral phenomenon, masking. Every single day you forcefully run a heavily resource-draining fake operating system over your actual high-speed neural network. This constant aggressive psychological camouflage rapidly erodes your precious neurons. It mercilessly depletes your dopamine, and it ruthlessly drains your vital emotional reserves. You desperately try to perfectly appear completely normal, calm, and socially acceptable to strangers. However, this relentless, agonizing internal performance actually isolates you completely. You inevitably feel profoundly lonely, even when you physically stand in the exact center of a massive, crowded room. Your powerful brain completely burns out because it tirelessly mainstoins an impossibly intricate lie all day long. It violently craves authentic, high-speed cognitive engagement, but you angrily feed it slow, suffocating social conformity. You constantly chortle your own intellect to protect fragile egos around you. You are quietly, tragically, drowning yourself in the incredibly shallow pool of forced normality. This exact truth will deeply hurt your fragile ego. You absolutely must carefully hear it today. You secretly believe your intense anxiety validates your personal importance. You constantly imagine the entire universe actively judges your awkward behavior. You falsely assume every single stranger is closely analyzing your every tiny flaw. They absolutely are not. You are completely deluding yourself. You are actively suffering from a massive, terrifying spotlight effect. You forcefully try to brutally empty your mind on that trendy meditation cushion. This highly passive action directly triggers your default mode network. Your DMN immediately hijacks your entire biological system. It violently forces your brain to obsessively focus entirely inward. It aggressively fabricates a deeply self-obsessed, highly paranoid narrative. You foolishly think you are the tragic, central, main character in everybody else's busy life. You are absolutely not. Nobody actually cares about your silent, agonizing mental loops. They simply do not possess the required vital neural bandwidth to critically judge you. They completely ignore your invisible daily struggles because they are desperately fighting their own internal wars. Forcing your highly active brain into empty spiritual silence is a violent, profoundly anti-biological command. It directly instructs your complex nervous system to viciously attack its own host. You constantly torture your own delicate psyche with completely fake, disastrous, horrifying scenarios. You endlessly rehearse pathetic, unnecessary apologies for tiny, meaningless mistakes nobody ever even noticed. You absolutely must immediately stop this ridiculous, exhausting mental self-harm. You stubbornly hold onto these incredibly empty, highly toxic spiritual cliches. You naively expect a completely silent, dark room to magically cure your chronic, primal biological hyperactivity. Pure silence does not magically heal your hyper-vigilant, scanning brain. It brutally exposes your fragile mind to its own unrestrained, deeply toxic ego. Your incredibly complex neurological hardware strictly demands a heavy, highly engaging physical task. It fiercely rejects this highly passive, entirely unnatural spiritual surrender. It practically begs at you to finally stop endlessly analyzing yourself. You cannot casually meditate your severe genetic wiring away. You cannot simply breathe away a highly evolved primal survival mechanism. You secretly crave an external validating audience that simply does not exist. You rigidly trap yourself in a completely invisible, highly suffocating psychological prison. Your extreme overthinking is entirely a heavy symptom of your own misplaced arrogance. Do you desperately want to permanently control your violently racing mind? You definitely can immediately hack your own biological hardware today. You must absolutely stop forcefully sitting in dark, agonizing silence. Instead, you must aggressively command your hyperactive brain. Give your complex mind a heavy, highly demanding physical task right now. First, instantly stand up from that utterly useless meditation cushion. Second, actively engage your nervous system in a highly complex, extremely precise physical activity. Assemble a difficult mechanical puzzle. Draw incredibly intricate geometric shapes on a blank paper. Build a deeply complex wooden model with your own two hands. Third, forcefully redirect your intense neural energy straight into your primary motor cortex. This aggressive, highly structured physical focus completely bypasses your terrified, hyperactive amygdala. You deliberately starve your overactive default mode network of its precious cognitive power. Your active, highly focused physical movement absolutely crushes your invisible internal psychological panic. This specific, highly clinical grounding technique rapidly disconnects your overwhelming emotional loops in just 5 short seconds. You visually trick your primal survival system into recognizing absolute, undeniable physical safety. You actually utilize your incredible neuroplasticity to physically rewire your own severely anxious brain over time. You forcefully reprogram your intense biological panic button using pure, undeniable, cold scientific logic. You are the ultimate, undeniably powerful architect of your own highly complex nervous system. You completely own this powerful, magnificent biological machine. You do not need to passively surrender to imaginary, terrifying social fears ever again. You actively defeat your deeply rooted chronic anxiety with highly calculated, deliberate physical action. You are absolutely not mentally broken. You are beautifully, perfectly, undeniably normal. Your aggressive, highly structured physical focus is your own profound, highly effective personal meditation. You are worthy. You are empowered. Finally, respect your incredible brain's highly unique, undeniably powerful evolutionary design. Fully allow yourself to completely, freely exist without that toxic, heavy spiritual guilt. You do not need to painfully force yourself into quiet, agonizing submission ever again. You absolutely deserve deep, genuine, lasting peace on your own strict biological terms. Please share this incredibly vital video right now. Directly send this exact clinical truth to a quiet friend who also silently struggles to peacefully meditate every single night. They desperately need to finally hear this profound, undeniably liberating biological validation. They secretly suffer in the dark, exactly like you did. Help them instantly break their invisible psychological chains today. Now, proudly, walk away with your head held extremely high. You finally understand your own magnificent, unmatched cognitive power. You completely control your own beautiful mind. This clinical therapy session is officially over.